Okay, this is with a bigger raft. I think I can still see some warping there, especially at this like edge here from where I'm looking. For some reason that looks almost like a double image there. A lot of reflections on this acrylic plate, by the way. As you can see there, you can see the reflection of the head. I'll try and get a different angle as well. Not sure if it's the angle I'm looking at here, because of like a bit of a skirt or brim on it. That makes it look like it's warping, or if it is warping, to be honest. I've just had a look at it from like low at an angle, and it doesn't seem too bad. I think there might be a very slight warpage. As I say, this is PLA, this is a cold bed. Well, it's quite cold actually, that bed. No warmth at all in the bed. This is still cold, this plate at the top here. The hot end is on, so this fan seems to be doing a good job. I was quite surprised with such a small fan, an inch, well maybe a bit more, about 30mm, that it would keep that cool. Remember, there's no calibration at all on this, not really. I think it's getting to approximately the stage it was at in the other print where it lifted. It was warping that much that it lifted. And it was coming off the bed, and I aborted that print. You can see the hexagon shape on the surface there, I think. That's the infill I'm asking for. Just pulse focus, yes, thank you. When I got this fan, it didn't come with any screws. Luckily I found about 4 that just about fit, a bit long, so I can't really screw them in all the way. Otherwise I'm going to damage the like clip-on shroud that goes around the hot end. Obviously a lot more work to be done to this printer. Repair the bed surface. I'll probably leave that to quite a bit further on, because I want to not repair it and then damage the surface, so to speak. I want to get all these cables like sleeved a bit better. think by increasing that raft that goes on to, I think that's 5 layers, something like that. I'm asking for quite a lot. I think that has helped there. It's a bit hard to tell with the reflections of the acrylic and the brim or skirt or whatever they call it as well. Basically I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to keep an eye on it every 10 minutes or so and see if anything's changed on it. I've just been looking at it. It certainly does seem to be a bit of a gap on this left hand edge. And just remember there that that is near my door where I come in and out, so that there might have been some drafts caused on that edge. That is a possibility, I suppose. I don't know. I'm pretty new to 3D, well, very new to 3D printing. Just flying by the seat of my pants basically when I'm doing stuff. But the herringbone there looks quite good. The infill. And it hasn't totally come loose like the previous model of this. It was exactly the same print, just this one's been given more raft to like stick to in a way. As I say, this printer bed is in poor condition. I don't know if you can see these lines on it. I did those. I was trying to print out a skier and it was going over the edge. I think the nozzle was scraping the acrylic. Now, acrylic apparently is repairable. You just basically sand, well, just a bit more than that, sand it with say 1000 grit, 2000 grit polish and such like. Also the whole surface would have to be done to keep it level. That's a thing I might do in the future, I don't know. I'm just going to watch it for a bit to see if it looks like it's going to lift. You can see the mark on the bed there. Probably see the raft if you look in the hexagon shapes where there's basically holes, the big hexagon shapes that is. Probably see the raft below. But I'm just going to pause the camera now for about 10 minutes and then I'll come back and see what's what. Well, it's been about 10 minutes and it hasn't come totally loose. I still think it's warped a bit. I've been looking up about warping, and one of the things they do say is do a better raft. Now the first layers on this, you might be able to tell by this sort of brim or whatever is going on the edge there, they were flattened quite a bit. So really the head needs probably raising a little bit, in my opinion. Not being very experienced, don't forget. This is my first big print, well, sizable print. I reckon that's about 100mm or so. Still going, I think, still printing. I'm not sure if it's a pattern actually that makes it look more warped over the left side, because it is a herringbone sort of pattern. A pattern like this. This is a small cog to go with this big cog actually. Well, a cog like that would go with this big cog. When it comes to the final print, I might actually print almost 100% instead of doing this infill. That would be interesting. Why I say that is because there'd be more plastic there, and I would imagine that would warp more because there would be more plastic. Seems to be doing quite well there. Come back in another 10 minutes or so, I think. Seems to be doing like a solid layer. And the part of the infill probably does, I think it just does solid like layer every so often anyway, to give it like extra strength. Okay, I'll come back in about 10 minutes. I think there's about 10 minutes left, well a bit over that, about 11 minutes say. I'm just going by what's saying in front of face and making sure about how to read what says in the bottom of front of face. So it looks like it's getting near the end now. quite a few strings like across there, but no calibration, no heated bed, pretty cool bed. Not bad for a first attempt at something of a reasonable size, I would call it. Yeah, that side certainly does look like it's lifted a bit. As I said, there's a door over on that left hand side, and there's been a couple of people in and out and stood there with the door open while we've been talking about this printer, so to speak. So I might have caught quite a bit of a draft there. I don't know, to be honest. Being an amateur till this like, a newbie. Well, it's finished off. I was hoping to catch it actually finishing off, but it must have finished off a bit quicker than I expected. It's leaving the strand here. Mind you, a bit of G-code on the back end. We'll probably stop that. Just tell it to retract a bit when it's finished, I imagine. I'm going to let it stand here a couple of minutes, because there was something else. I put one of those small cubes. I don't know where it is actually. Try and show you it. But anyway, there was a strand like that on it, and I went to pull it, and the plastic was still quite soft, and it bent the corner of the cube. So best to leave them a few minutes, let them cool. Anyway, I think they come off this acrylic bed easier when they're cooler. I haven't done a definitive test of that. Well, I'll give it a couple of minutes to cool down. It doesn't feel warm, it feels coolish. The bed feels quite cool, but it's not a heated bed. And now comes the fun of games of trying to get it off this acrylic bed. This bed will almost unhook off here because it does have almost these key slots in. It's good. Let me move this camera down, zoom out a bit. Lighten round. Let's have a look before I lift it, actually, before I try and take it off. So I'm getting some reflections there. See, there's quite a gap. I can even get this paint scraper, wallpaper scraper, under there, and that is definitely warped. It seems thicker on this side. That side doesn't seem so bad. All the way around here. Remember, there's been no calibration whatsoever. This is the side that the door was on, so there might have been a bit of a draft coming through there on that side. Let me hold it like this so you can see. Well, that's coming off extremely easily. I'm not really putting any pressure on at all. Quite a few strings there, so there's the underside. Get some of these loose ones off. Show you that. This is basically the first reasonable sized print I've ever done on this machine. No calibration, as I say, so that's pretty good. Space there for hex nut. That edge there looks a bit wider than this edge to me. Seems to go a bit narrower there. Might be an optical illusion. We need to try one of these smaller gears to see how well it intermeshes. put that round the right way. That's the right way. Helps if you put the gear round the right way. Yeah, that seems to mesh reasonably well on there. Okay, now how tough is this? Pretty tough. I'm putting it, just a second, put that down. Right, I'm going to put this under quite a bit of pressure, press my thumbs here. Here it goes. Oh, it does feel almost as if it's got a tiny bit of give in it, a bit of flex there, but it's very, very strong. Right, actually I can put it on this build platform. If the reflections don't, you probably can see how much it sort of rocks a bit there. So it's almost like bowed to a certain extent as it's curled. And there's your sort of raft there. So having a good raft has helped quite a bit. And what this tend to be saying is, I think, that the temperature, you need to go slow with PLA if you're getting warpage. This is PLA, well that's what it says, 3mm filament. Looks like a lot of lines here, almost like straw. That's what that reminds me of. It's my light there. Let's just move that a little bit. That might be part of the raft actually. Be careful with paint, wallpaper scrapers. I'm going to chop my fingers off. Quite a lot of people say use blue painter's tape. That is one trick to stop this warping apparently, and print slower. So I might try, well I probably will try this exact same print, and I'll probably try printing slower before I try putting any tape on here. I do not want to be messing about with Kapton tape or painter's tape or even glue sticks really on the printed bed. So some of that has come off a bit. Might just leave it quite rough this side, but then it has been on that raft. Actually the raft feels smooth, very silky smooth, especially the part that's been on the print bed. Well, that's a bit like stringy there, as you can probably see. But there you are, that's basically my first non-calibrated medium-sized print, I would call that, on a cold bed. Yes, that certainly looks narrower this side and that side over there. I think that's like the proper height of it, it should be, and this is like narrower because of the shrinkage. So possibly it has been that door was opened and letting drafts in and such like while we were talking, because we stood there with the door open, and that's impacted on that more than what I would have expected. Maybe. Well, there you are. Bed's not come up too bad after that, but this bed, as you see, has a lot of scarring, shall we call it that.